Good afternoon. Please welcome to the stage Mayor Bonnie Crombie.
Well, hello everyone. Are we excited today? I know I am. Bonjour. Good afternoon. What an exciting day this is, not only for the team here at AstraZeneca, but for our city as a whole. I want to thank Kirsten Combs and, of course, Pascal Soriot for inviting us all to join you here today for this very exciting announcement. And I want to start today's event with a brief land acknowledgement. Today we stand on the lands which constitute the present-day city of Mississauga as being part of the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot nations. We recognize these peoples and their ancestors as people who inhabited these lands since time immemorial. The city of Mississauga is home to many global Indigenous peoples, and we formally recognize the Anishinaabe origins of our name and and of course, all the federal and provincial ministers and MPs and MPPs, all levels of government. My councillor, Stephen Dasco, is here with me as well. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us too. What a great way to start off our week here in Mississauga. Your presence, along with the hundreds, I think there are thousands actually, of employees here today speaks volumes about the excitement around this announcement. Mississauga is proud to be one of the country's leading hubs for life sciences, the second largest hub for life sciences in the country, in fact, and that's largely thanks to leading biopharma companies like AstraZeneca, who are pushing the envelope when it comes to research and innovation. They are part of over 500 companies who have chosen to invest here in Mississauga and build our life sciences ecosystem, helping grow our economy and create highly skilled jobs right here in the city of Mississauga. We want to be the place where research and development in health sciences is conducted, where innovative medicines are manufactured, and ultimately that they make their way to our local hospitals to save or improve people's lives. And that's exactly the type of R&D work AstraZeneca is doing right here in Mississauga as a global clinical hub for cancer, biopharmaceuticals, and rare disease research. We understand the promise and future of life sciences, which is why Mississauga is one of the only cities with a dedicated strategy to help support the growth of this sector. And I want to thank Jackie on our economic development team for the work she's been doing, not only with AstraZeneca, but right across the entire sector to attract investment and to build a talent pipeline. I know our provincial and federal partners also share our enthusiasm, and today is proof that our strategies are working and that together we can achieve great things. I want everyone here to know that the team here at AstraZeneca are true leaders in more ways than one. They are invested in their people and creating an inclusive workplace where their employees feel valued, while also giving back to the environment and community through their charitable efforts. Having just met with their employees a few months ago, I can tell you it shows. You can not only feel their energy and their passion for the work that they're doing here, but also their desire to be part of something bigger, which is the reason that we're all here together today, to celebrate AstraZeneca's bright and promising future right here in Mississauga. So thank you, Kirsten and Pascal, for choosing Mississauga and for investing in the potential of our city, in our people and our future. Kirsten, back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Crombie. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kirsten Combs, and I am the president of AstraZeneca Canada. Thank you, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Premier Doug Ford, for being here today and sharing your perspective on this exciting announcement. In addition, I would like to thank many of you and recognize the number of elected officials that we also have here with us today. If you could, I would like to acknowledge each one of them and just hold your applause until the end. Make sure you'll get an applause that way. From the federal government, Minister of Health, Jean-Yves Duclos, Minister of Seniors, Kamal Khera, and from our Ontario government, Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, Sylvia Jones, Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, Vic Fedeli, Minister of Public and Business Services, Khalid Rashid, and from the City of Mississauga, Mayor Crombie and Councillor Stephen Dasko. In addition, thank you to the MPs who are in attendance: Sonia Sidhu, Shafqat Ali, Peter Fonseca, Francesco Sorbera, and the MPs Deepak Anand, Sharif Sabawi, Nina Tangri, and Rudy Cozzetto. Thank you and welcome. Every day at AstraZeneca, we are driven by our purpose of transforming the future of healthcare by unlocking the power of what science can do for people, society, and the planet. And with an industry-leading research pipeline and a growing scientific footprint, I believe there's never been a more exciting time for AstraZeneca in Canada. In a moment, you will hear from AstraZeneca's CEO, Pascal Soriot, about the scope of this major global investment in Canada research and development capabilities. You will also hear from Marc Denoyer, CEO of Alexion, AstraZeneca's rare disease business, and he will speak of the impact of today's announcement in advancing the development of needed treatments for rare disease. We very much appreciate your presence here today to help us make these announcements and also to spend time with our employees, connecting with them, getting to know them, and learning what we do here every day. And so with that, please help me welcome to the podium Pascal Soriot, CEO, AstraZeneca.
Thank you, Kirsten, and good afternoon, everybody. It's really a fantastic opportunity for me to be here today in Canada and to welcome so many distinguished guests. Canada is an amazing country, and some of you may know the French love Canadians. So it's always a great pleasure for me to be here. Canadians are really special people, as I was telling our employees this morning. They're very, very enthusiastic, very talented, very engaged, but also they get things done. And, you know, being here is always a great pleasure. And on top of it, being able to speak French to the Prime Minister of this country is, of course, a special event. It's also a very diverse country and you know that, of course, but for our company, we've been working on building a diverse workforce for many years. And Canada is certainly the most advanced of all our affiliates around the world. As the Premier actually remarked this morning, we have more women, more female leaders in this organization than males. And just looking at the people in the room, shows clearly that Canada is really a very diverse country, and that's really how we want our company to look like. A company made of people who are talented, come from many different walks of life, many different countries, and are simply in our company to share our common purpose, which is to follow the science to deliver innovative medicines to patients. So it's really my pleasure today to announce this investment in our Canadian R&D hub to increase our headcount here by 500 people, and it's only the beginning, because there's such a large talent pool here in Canada that we believe we can do a lot more here in Toronto, but also across Canada. We are running out of this organization, this site, today we're already running 120 clinical trials around the world that are managed from here, and there's a lot more to come. We have, as a company, 170 projects in our pipeline. We have one of the most robust new products pipeline in our industry. We start this year, we are starting 30 new phase 3 trials, which is a big undertaking for any pharma company. So 30 new trials is an enormous undertaking. And this site will play a big role in these programs and in more to come. There is in our industry, in medicine I should say, but also affecting our industry, 3 revolutions. One is the revolution of biology, where the mechanism, the understanding of biology of diseases is really increasing rapidly. The understanding of the biology of cancer today has nothing to do with where we were like 10, 20 years ago. And so we've seen the emergence of a large number of new technologies, new products that can address these very specific aspects of cancer biology. The second revolution is technology. We all talk about digital, but that affects our industry in a big way. Also, diagnostic techniques have progressed a lot, and this is important to be able to deliver the right medicine to the right patient by diagnosing them early, but also diagnosing the type of disease they have and the type of medicine they need. We're using what we call ctDNA, which is tumor DNA, looking at DNA of a tumor in the blood of a patient to identify early the type of tumor they may have. And the third biology is data and AI, and that is affecting us, our industry a lot. And if we can harness those 3 revolutions, we can actually completely change medicine by addressing patients and screening patients, diagnosing patients early, treating them with the medicine they need, the absolute targeted medicine that will affect their disease. And in doing this, we will, of course, improve the health of people, but we will also, I believe, reduce the cost of healthcare, because if you diagnose a cancer patient early, you can treat them with surgery or medical treatment, cure them, as opposed to waiting for them to become metastatic and, of course, being in bad health, but also costing a lot of money. And finally, we can also save a lot of carbon, because people don't know, but the healthcare services actually produce 4% of carbon emissions in the world. That's on average in the world, but in advanced countries like the US, and I'm sure it's the same in Canada, 8% of carbon emissions come from the healthcare sector. And it's mostly in hospitals. So going to a hospital is bad for you, bad for your health, but you cost money, and also you generate a lot of carbon. So if we can keep people out of the hospital and cure them quickly, we will really affect people, but also countries and societies in a big way. And that's what we're trying to do. We work on this biology dimension. We work on a whole variety of technologies, antibody-drug conjugates, immunotherapies for cancer. We also work on cell therapies, gene therapies these days, ctDNA, as I said. We're working on diagnostic technologies. We have a large team of people around the world working on new diagnostic techniques, screening techniques that we do in collaboration with biotech companies, but also diagnostics techniques. We work on computational pathology to help pathologists diagnose cancers. And finally, we have 600 data scientists around the world, harnessing this data and this biology to come up with new medicines. And what better place to do this even better than Canada? You have all the talent you need here. You have universities, you have great people that are committed. You have data scientists, you have AI scientists, you have people who deal with digital technologies, you have fantastic doctors, many hospitals around here, academic centers, but also across Canada. So this is really, for us, a great place certainly to invest, and that's why it's my great pleasure to announce today this substantial investment we're making, and as I said, there's more to come. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to be here, and Prime Minister, it's also a pleasure to have you with us here today and to invite you to the podium. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, Pascal. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Je suis très content de pouvoir enfin vous rencontrer après bien des conversations au téléphone pendant les difficultés de la pandémie où AstraZeneca a été un partenaire essentiel pour le Canada et pour le monde. Merci beaucoup. Je suis très ravi d'être ici aujourd'hui avec les ministres Duclos et Kara, ainsi qu'avec les membres de notre équipe, le député local Peter Fonseca, aussi Charles Souza, Equinder Gahir, Shafkat Ali, Sonia Sidhu, Ruby Sahota, and Francesco Sabara. Premier Ford, Mayor Crombie, always great to see you both again as well. I want to thank Marc Dunoyer of Election and Kirsten Combs of AstraZeneca Canada as well for being here with us and organizing this gathering. I know there's many, many people from the research community here today, and this is a really exciting announcement that will create good, highly skilled scientific jobs, invest in leading research, and develop new treatments. Since we announced a few weeks ago our plan to strengthen public universal healthcare systems, I've been meeting with healthcare workers and students here in Ontario, in Nova Scotia last week, later this week in British Columbia, and whoever I meet with, from personal support workers to nurses to doctors to medical students, they all share the same goal as we do, providing the best possible care for Canadians. This is what mattered during the pandemic and what matters today, keeping people healthy, making sure they have access to the care they need. Nous avons annoncé des investissements majeurs et nous travaillons également avec les provinces et territoires à l'élaboration d'ententes bilatérales qui permettront d'apporter de véritables améliorations aux services de soins de santé, des améliorations concrètes pour les gens, un accès accru aux médecins de famille, une réduction des temps d'attente pour les rendez-vous et les procédures, des soins améliorés en matière de santé mentale et de toxicomanie, et un système modernisé qui vous permettra de transmettre en toute sécurité vos informations médicales à votre équipe de soins de santé. In under 3 weeks, we've now signed agreements in principle with over half the provinces and territories, including Ontario, which was one of the first. We signed with Manitoba just on Friday, and this morning we announced another agreement in principle with Alberta. These agreements take us all one step closer to making the real improvements that Canadians deserve. We fully expect the rest of the provinces and territories to make this step with us very soon. Now, making sure Canadians have the best possible health care also means we're leading on research, on developing life-changing treatments, and in strengthening our ability to make the vaccines and medicines people need today. This is exactly why we're here. AstraZeneca is making a major investment to expand their research and development hub here in Mississauga, and it'll continue its important research on cancers, on COVID-19, and chronic kidney diseases, amongst many, many others. The company will also create a new hub to research rare diseases, and with tomorrow being Rare Disease Day, it couldn't be timelier. This expansion will create 500 more good middle-class jobs here in the GTA. AstraZeneca is making this announcement in Canada because we have the talent, expertise, and scientific ecosystem a leading company like AstraZeneca is looking for. We have the hospitals that are on the forefront of care and research. We have world-class universities with the best scientists and researchers, and especially we have talented, well-educated, and driven workers. Over the past few years, our government has been making continued investments to strengthen this competitive advantage. Pascal was talking a little bit about the various aspects that makes Canada a good place to invest for a research-intensive, high-technology company. To name just a couple of them, he talked a lot about data, and that's a cornerstone of what we're building into our health systems for the future. We know that having reliable access to your own health information to make sure that if you show up at an emergency room, the local doctor will be able to see what tests you've had recently, who your specialists are, and what you've been treated for as necessary. But also making sure we can share data in secure and responsible ways right across the country to make sure we know what's happening, what works best, and how we can better support Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Data is extremely important. But how we deal with data is extremely important as well. That's where, and Pascal talked about AI, Canada is one of the world leaders on artificial intelligence. Researchers like Jeffrey Hinton here in Toronto, Joshua Bengio in Montreal, and others across the country, including Rick Sutton in Edmonton, demonstrated the power and impact of artificial intelligence, and that application to the pharmaceutical industry is key. Another one people don't necessarily think of is the intersection with quantum computing. We know that the amount of computing power required to even begin to simulate clinical trials in a way that's going to show promising paths is massive. Well, a few weeks ago, I was here in Toronto for an announcement around a quantum computing company that is able to do in a few seconds what would take an ordinary computer about 9,000 years. The kind of computing power that's being developed in Canada will have huge applications, including here in the biotech sector. So we're really pleased to continue to see global interest and confidence in what we're doing here, but mostly in what Canadians are doing here. Because across the country, we're not just building a critical capacity to produce vaccines and therapeutics, we're building a whole ecosystem. We're expanding our research network across universities, hospitals, and research centers. We're investing in innovations, in high-performance tools, and new facilities, so Canadian researchers can continue to make breakthroughs the whole world needs. And we're building a more resilient future for our healthcare systems and for Canadians. And when global companies are looking at being able to develop drugs and solutions that'll work right around the world and the full diversity of the planet, well, what better place to come than Canada, where we understand that that diversity is a huge advantage here at home that also allows us to lead around the world. Alors, je veux à nouveau remercier Pascal, Marc et Kirsten et tous les gens impliqués dans cette très bonne nouvelle aujourd'hui. Les compagnies comme AstraZeneca savent que le Canada est un endroit idéal pour investir et innover. Notre gouvernement poursuit son travail pour attirer des investissements importants et stratégiques comme celui-ci, et on va continuer de rendre notre secteur des biotechnologies encore plus dynamique et de développer notre talent d'ici. Our government is working so that scientists and future scientists can build a real career here at home while making a real difference around the world. We're building together a healthy and resilient future. And we're building an economy that works for all Canadians. Merci beaucoup, mes chers amis.
Thank you, Prime Minister Trudeau. Thank you for your investment and support in growing the life sciences sector here in Canada and really bringing more innovation to make Canadians healthier. With that, please help me welcome to the podium Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
First of all, thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. And Kirsten, thank you for having us by, and Pascal, boy, I think a few of you were there, but my goodness, what a greeting we had over there, meeting all your employees. It's fantastic, and that's the backbone of any company. And it's great to be back here in Mississauga alongside Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Fedeli, and Minister Jones, Minister Rashid, as we welcome another game-changing investment right here in Ontario. And I know, Mayor, you must be as happy as punch, another great investment in the city of Mississauga. I also want to recognize Minister Duclos and Minister Kira, and again, Mayor Crombie, and our local champions, MPP Sabawe, Anand, Tangri, Kusindova, and Cozetto, and all our federal partners too, all the federal MPs and municipal elected officials. And a big shout out, again, Pascal, Mark, and Kristen for putting this event on, and the entire team at AstraZeneca. And thank you for having us here today. My friends, our government has a plan to build more resilient economy and a stronger Ontario. It's a plan to attract good-paying jobs and new investments in communities right across this great province. We're making electricity more affordable. We're keeping taxes and fees low. We're cutting red tape. and regulations, and we're also reducing the cost of doing business here in Ontario. As I mentioned to you, Pascal, over $7 billion of burden every single year are coming off the backs of companies to make sure that we create the environment and the conditions for companies to come here and thrive and prosper and grow. We're investing also in transit, roads, and highways to keep people and goods moving. And we're training the skilled workforce that companies need to grow and expand here in the province. And today, we are thrilled to see our plan in action. We're thrilled to welcome this announcement from AstraZeneca to expand its cutting-edge research facility right here in Mississauga. And I know, Pascal, you were saying about our universities, our number one selling feature when we go around the world with Minister Fedeli is the talent that we have. Our universities and colleges, the talent that we have, the brightest people anywhere in the world coming out of here in Ontario. This significant investment adds to the substantial investment that AstraZeneca has made in Canada since 2021 and will create 500 new great-paying jobs for Ontarians. It will increase the number of clinical trials in oncology and immunology, helping to accelerate the development of innovative therapeutic drugs and vaccines for patients in Ontario, but also around the world. This investment is a huge vote of confidence in Ontario, in our thriving research ecosystem, our world-class universities and colleges, as I mentioned earlier, and in our skilled workforce. It also reaffirms Ontario's position as a growing leader in the life sciences sector. My friends, the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the importance of having a strong life sciences sector, of building a domestic supply chain of personal protective equipment, critical medical supplies, and vaccines. And that's why last year our government released Ontario's Life Sciences Strategy. This strategy, the first of its kind in over a decade, serves as a roadmap to continue growing Ontario's biomanufacturing footprint and to continue making Ontario a leader as a life science hub. And over the past 2 years, Ontario has attracted, these are pretty good numbers, they have attracted almost $3 billion in investment into the sector. And as I name a few, I want to thank again the partnership that we've had with the federal government. It's second to none, attracting companies from all different sectors. But this also includes Sanofi, the $925 million state-of-the-art vaccine facility to meet growing demand for the flu vaccines, specifically for populations at greater risk of influenza. And Omnia Bio, $580 million investment for a new cell and gene therapy manufacturing facility being built in Hamilton. These are the type of investments, along with AstraZeneca's investment announced today, will help to ensure that Made in Ontario solutions are available for future public health challenges that may arise. And we want Ontario to be the place where medical breakthroughs are discovered, commercialized, and developed into innovative products and services for the benefit of Ontarians and all Canadians. My friends, we're building a globally competitive economy, attracting billions of dollars in investment and thousands of new jobs in the auto sector and manufacturing and tech sector and in the life sciences. And we're not done yet. With our expertise, our world-class workers, our abundant natural resources, and our long history as Canada's economic engine, we are building a strong economy that will capitalize on every advantage that Ontario has. And while the world faces economic uncertainty, there's one thing I have complete confidence in, is Team Ontario and Team Canada spirit. And when we all come together, and I've said this conversation many times with other elected officials, when we all come together, our talented workers, our great partners in business like AstraZeneca, and all levels of government, I know we can accomplish incredible things. Together, we will build a stronger Ontario. Thank you again to AstraZeneca's team for the investment and for your continued confidence in our great province and our people. Thank you all, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier Ford, and thank you for championing the life sciences sector, as well as creating an environment for businesses to invest in Ontario. And now with that, please help me welcome to the stage Marc Denoyer, CEO of Alexion.
So thank you, Kirsten, and to our guest, thank you for joining us today. As Pascal has introduced earlier on, today we're also announcing the creation of the new Alexion Research and Development Hub for Rare Disease, which brings with it 150 new, highly skilled roles over the next 2 to 3 years. Based here in Mississauga, alongside our AstraZeneca colleagues, the Alexion Development Hub will be a center of excellence for the clinical development of new, life-transforming therapies for rare diseases, running clinical trials for patients from around the world, including Canada. For us, the importance of this investment is clear. Rare diseases still represent a significant unmet medical need. Of the more than 7,000 non-rare diseases, about 95% do not have an approved treatment option available. So it gives you a perspective of the work that remains to be done. Globally, it is estimated that more than 400 million people are living or are impacted by rare disease, 3 million of whom live in Canada. In fact, roughly 1 out of 12 Canadians, 2/3 of them children, are affected by rare disease, emphasizing the devastating impact rare disease can have on an entire family and community. These statistics drive our purpose, which is to transform the life of people affected by rare disease, developing innovative medicine, as well as supportive technologies and healthcare services where there is currently an unmet need. The creation of this research hub is an extension to that mission, and we take great pride in knowing that it is life-saving work. Alexion has been committed to transforming the lives of people with rare disease for more than 30 years. Its first product was approved in 2007 in its first indication. And in Canada, we have been present since 2009. With today's announcement, we will be more than tripling the size of our operation in Mississauga to create one of the largest centers of clinical excellence and innovation dedicated to rare disease in North America. Alexion has been a pioneer in the treatment of rare disease, translating complex biology of the complement system, a key part of our innate immune system, into transformative medicines. We currently have more than 35 R&D programs with patients from 50 countries around the world, and roughly 82 ongoing clinical trials in areas such as hematology, nephrology, neurology, metabolic disorders, and ophthalmology. We are acutely aware of the unique challenges facing patients impacted by rare disease, where even getting an accurate diagnosis can take many years, and treatment options are often limited. The courage, tenacity, and grace with which patients, their caregivers, and families face the unknown is what inspires us to continue to do everything we can to help transform their lives. Our investment in R&D will continue to grow through our increased collaboration with AstraZeneca, and we are proud to be adding to our global R&D effort with the creation of this new development hub. As Pascal mentioned, the Greater Toronto Area is recognized for its vibrant life science sector with world-class universities, hospitals, and research centers. There's a rich and diverse ecosystem of bright minds and emerging talent that makes it an ideal location for our research hub. Beforehand, I can't help but remark on the timing of the announcement today. Tomorrow is a Rare Disease Day, February 28. Usually it's the last day of the year, so obviously it varies every year, but tomorrow is a day. And I ask you to watch as cities across Canada and around the world light up key monuments like the CN Tower or the Niagara Falls to raise awareness for the hundreds of millions of people worldwide with the rare disease. Thank you. I will now pass it back to Kirsten.
Thank you, Mark, Pascal, Prime Minister Trudeau, Premier Ford, and Mayor Crombie. As the President of the Canadian business and on behalf of everybody at AstraZeneca, I would like to thank you for joining us today. To say today is a proud moment would be an understatement. Along with representing a significant expansion for AstraZeneca, today's news will further strengthen the life sciences sector here in Canada, which I know continues to be a priority for the industry and for both provincial and federal government. Most importantly, it will help bring more life-changing medicines to patients in Canada and across the globe. Today is not only a proud moment, but a true cause for celebration, and I am thrilled we could share it all with you today. Thank you for coming. This concludes our formal announcement this afternoon, and so we invite our guests to join the senior executive team just around the corner for a reception. The Prime Minister and the Premier will be available for questions from the media in a roughly 2 to 3 minutes. If there's any questions for AstraZeneca, please direct it to the media desk upon entrance. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Sing for our supper. If folks could sit back down, we'll get questions from media now. Go ahead.
Prime Minister Simon Dingley from CBC. And I know your government announced today a new announcement about TikTok, but the U.S. Congress is debating legislation that would forbid TikTok's parent company from doing any business at all in the U.S. This would effectively ban the TikTok app in the United States. And meanwhile, your government is saying it just wants to remove it from government devices. Why, if this is such a security threat, just remove it from government devices?
Obviously, we take very seriously the freedom of expression, the freedom of Canadians to engage how they want online, but we also have very important principles around protection of data, protection of Canadian safety and security that we will always step up for. Like many countries around the world, we're looking carefully at how to ensure Canadians are kept safe online, and we're making the decision that for government employees, for government equipment, it is better to not have them access TikTok because of the concerns that people have in terms of safety. This may be a first step. It may be the only step we need to take, but every step of the way we're going to be making sure we're keeping Canadians safe. And certainly, I suspect that as government takes the significant step of telling all federal employees that they can no longer use TikTok on their work phones, many Canadians, from businesses to private individuals, will reflect on the security of their own data and perhaps make choices in consequence. But I'm always a fan of giving Canadians the information for them to make the right decisions for them.
Deuxième question, et en français, s'il vous plaît, la même question sur le TikTok.
Je pense que les gens savent très bien que notre responsabilité en tant que gouvernement, c'est toujours d'assurer la sécurité des Canadiens, que ce soit en ligne ou dans le vrai monde. En même temps, nous voulons évidemment que les Canadiens puissent faire leurs propres choix et accéder à les logiciels et applis qui les intéressent. Mais pour la part du gouvernement, nous considérons qu'il y a maintenant assez de préoccupations qu'on va exiger que les téléphones de travail des employés du gouvernement fédéral ne pourront plus accéder à l'appli TikTok à cause des préoccupations de sécurité. Il y aurait peut-être d'autres annonces et d'autres choix qu'on pourrait faire en tant que société, en tant que pays, mais je sais que déjà, quand beaucoup de monde et de gens et de compagnies voient qu'on est en train de prendre cette étape importante, ils vont réfléchir à leur propre sécurité de données et vont faire des choix dans leur vie privée ou leur vie corporative en tant que compagnie pour protéger les données de leurs citoyens et de leurs employés.
Prochaine question.
Good afternoon, Premier. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. This is Prabnoor from Parvasi Media Group. So the foreign trained workers who are coming to Canada, they have to qualify themselves separately for each province since all of them have their independent healthcare qualification system. And this leads to so many trained doctors leading to doing odd jobs while the country is facing healthcare problems and shortage. Why do we not have a national level program to absorb the foreign trade workers and doctors in Canada's health system and recognize their credentials at a national level?
Thank you very much. And it's a really important question. As Canadians are continuing to struggle to access the level of services in healthcare systems across the country, and as we welcome in people from around the world, many of whom have medical qualifications, it's important that we're able to deliver those health services to people right across the country. We are having conversations with the provinces around accelerating licensing and credential recognition. The federal government doesn't deliver health care. We work with the provinces to support them as they deliver health care, but the federal government does have a role in coordinating and making sure that any Canadian anywhere across the country gets a sufficient level of access to quality medical care. That's something that we do for the Canada Health Act. So part of these negotiations that we're embarking upon with provinces like Ontario around the healthcare system will be around ensuring that we're giving the best support to our frontline healthcare workers, which includes making sure that new waves of people either coming through our medical schools here or coming to Canada to keep Canadians healthy are able to do their jobs in the best way. But it's an ongoing conversation in which both federal government and provinces agree we need to make real advances and solve this, and this is what we're working on together. But I'll pass it over to Doug for the Ontario perspective.
Thanks, Prime Minister. So we're working collaboratively, as the Prime Minister said, with the federal government, trying to expedite not only medical folks that have the background, be it a doctor or a nurse, but other sectors as well. And I know we have our both ministers of health sitting in front of us. Just to give you an example, over the last 4 years, we brought on 8,000 doctors. We're working with the regulatory colleges to make sure we expedite the doctors right across the country. By the way, the Minister of Health, Minister Jones, made a great announcement that we're going to be able to expedite doctors, be it in BC or Nova Scotia or any other province or territory, into Ontario a lot quicker than we had before. But again, we're going to work collaboratively with the federal government to make sure we expedite as many people as we can, not just in the medical background, but other areas as well. So thank you.
Fakir Bey here from CP. The Security and Intelligence, and this question is for the Prime Minister, the Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections Task Force evaluation by Jim Judd after the 2019 general election said the government should consider activating its election interference warning system, not just during the next election campaign, but also in the pre-writ period before the election. Can you talk a little bit about how the government responded to this specific recommendation? Did it see why it was so important, and did it consider it?
Thank you. As you well know, in the run-up to the 2019 election, Canadians had already seen, from challenges to democracies like France or the United States, the role that foreign interference was potentially playing and a potential threat to our democracies. That's why in Canada, in early 2019, we stood up both an intelligence task force and a high-level panel consisting of top public servants to be able to ensure that the integrity of our elections is not compromised by foreign interference. Good news, obviously, is that they determined that both in the 2019 and the 2021 elections, our election integrity held. That doesn't mean that we are not faced on an ongoing basis by attempts at interference in our democracies, both during and before and after and ongoing around the writ period and otherwise. That's why we're continually improving and learning how to better keep Canadians safe and to keep our democracy safe. After the 2019 election, which was the first time we stood up the panel, there were a number of recommendations that we moved forward on. And after the 2021 election, there was another report, this one written by Morris Rosenberg, that has been released to both the government and to the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, and I'm hoping that they're going to be launching a study on how best we can protect our democracy in the coming months. We will always look at the recommendations made, and we will always continue to step up on keeping our citizens and our democracies safe. It's extremely important, and we will continue to do that.
En français, Prime Minister.
Okay. Avant les élections de 2019, nous avions vu un peu à travers le monde, que ce soit en France ou aux États-Unis, le rôle potentiel ou le rôle qu'a essayé de jouer différents acteurs internationaux dans l'influence de nos processus démocratiques. C'est pourquoi, au Canada, on a créé 2 nouveaux mécanismes, un groupe de travail de nos agents de sécurité, mais aussi un panel de hauts fonctionnaires qui étaient là pour évaluer l'intégrité de nos élections pendant que ça se passait. En 2019 et en 2021, ces experts ont conclu que l'intégrité de nos élections n'ont pas été compromises, mais ils ont souligné qu'on fait constamment face à des attentats d'ingérence par des pays étrangers comme la Chine et d'autres. Et c'est pourquoi nous faisons des suivis sur les recommandations qui ont été faites suite aux élections de 2019 et suite aux élections de 2021. J'ai souligné en anglais que Morris Rosenberg a mis de l'avant un rapport que j'ai demandé d'être partagé avec le public d'ici peu, où nous allons pouvoir travailler sur les leçons apprises pendant l'élection de 2021, mais encore une fois, les Canadiens peuvent savoir que nous prenons très au sérieux nos responsabilités à ce niveau-là et que l'intégrité de nos démocraties et de nos élections ont pu tenir pendant ces élections-là.
Prochaine question.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. Calls are growing for a nonpartisan public inquiry into China's attempts to interfere with our elections. You used to call yourself transparent by default. Why are you so resistant to calling such an inquiry, and are you at all open to the idea now of holding a public inquiry into this very important issue for Canadians?
I think it's a really important and great thing that Canadians are so interested in ensuring that our principles of democracy and our practice of democracy continues to be protected from the ongoing interference as attempted by authoritarian governments around the world, whether it be China or other countries like it. This is why, a number of years ago, we put in place important mechanisms so that our top security officials could analyze what's going on during the elections and otherwise that could impact our democracies, and so that our very top public servants, in an independent, nonpartisan way, could ensure that the integrity of our elections holds. They did that in 2019 for the very first time and reported that it held. They did that again in 2021. And the elections report, the report on that task force, has been delivered to the government recently. We actually sent it along to the National Security Committee and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, and we're hopeful that they're going to embark upon a study of that very quickly to look at how we can continue to do things. But you're absolutely right. The Canadians do want to hear directly from independent experts on the safety, the stability, the security of our elections and of our democratic processes, despite the ongoing attempts at interference. That's why this week, at a parliamentary committee in public hearings, our National Security and Intelligence Advisor, along with the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, David Morrison, who was himself on that committee in 2021, will be testifying, among other top officials, publicly to a committee of the House of Commons on what is going on and what happened and what further methods are going to be taken. It is extremely important, as you say, that Canadians see that this is open, transparent, nonpartisan, independent, because we're all concerned and worried about our elections' integrity. And that's why we have put in place mechanisms, why we continue to see hearings on this in parliamentary committee, why we continue to be open and transparent, because yes, openness and transparency is extraordinarily important for our democracies and for active defense of our democracies.
Next question.
Afternoon, Prime Minister Catherine with Global News here. Were you, your office, or any Liberal Party staff ever warned before or after September 2019 election about CSIS concerns that Mr. Hong Dong was suspected to be involved in the People's Republic of China foreign interference? And if the Liberal Party government was warned prior to the 2021 election, why did the Liberal Party allow him to run?
Let me start by being very, very clear. There are 1.7 million Canadians who proudly trace their origins back to China. Those Canadians should always be welcomed as full Canadians and encouraged to stand for office, to get involved in their communities, and to take on part of the leadership of this country. That's one of the great things about this country. Let me say that we are extraordinarily lucky and happy to have a member of parliament like Han Dong in our midst, serving his community, serving our country alongside Chinese Canadian MPs from different parts of the country, alongside an extraordinary diverse group of MPs who are proud Canadians even as they trace their origins to elsewhere around the world. And that is as it should be. It's also very important to highlight that we have national security and intelligence agencies who are there to protect all Canadians of all different origins, as well as our democratic processes. And we always engage with them and listen to them. But let me also be very clear to a really important point that I think some folks are choosing to overlook. In a free democracy, it is not up to unelected security officials to dictate to political parties who can or cannot run. That's a really important principle. We, of course, draw on the expertise every step of the way. But the suggestions we've seen in the media that CSIS would somehow say, no, this person can't run or that person can't run, is not just false, it's actually damaging to people's confidence in our democratic and political institutions.
Next question.
For the Prime Minister, Siobhan with CTV News. Is it time to revisit the contours of the Canada Health Act as more provinces, including Ontario, are increasingly relying on for-profit providers in order to guard against any abuse of patients or them being overcharged?
Canada has an extraordinarily strong Canada Health Act that ensures that Canadians have access to a public, universal healthcare system. And as I've said many times, as I've said many times directly to premiers as well, one of the federal government's roles around healthcare is to ensure that the Canada Health Act is always respected. Provinces deliver healthcare. The federal government contributes some of the funding and ensures that the Canada Health Act is respected. And I can tell you, over the past number of years, this government has clawed back or withheld money or penalized a number of provinces for not having lived up to the Canada Health Act, and we will not hesitate to do so going forward. Canadians expect that we continue to have a public health care system. They expect that it be able to deliver the kinds of results they and their families need. That's exactly what we're working on together across the country right now.
And can we have the Premier answer the same question, please?
Well, it's always, as long as I'm Premier, I've always said you'll be paying with your OHIP card, not your credit card. We're always going to make sure that we run the healthcare system as efficiently as possible. But let me say this, when we have 200,000 backlog surgeries and we have great professionals that are tied into the hospital, community clinics, again, it's going to be publicly funded by all means. When our neurosurgeons get a day and a half in the operating room and they're saying they have more capacity for 5.5 days, absolutely. If there's opportunities to have a facility right beside a hospital or down the street from a hospital, and again, it will be paid through your OHIP card, not your credit card, I encourage it. We have to start thinking outside the box. We have to start thinking differently and make bold decisions. But we'll always make sure the safety comes first, and it always will. Make sure there's no different regulations and expedite the process. We've been doing this here in Ontario for a number of years. We have over 800 diagnostic centers. Every single doctor's office is their own business. But we're going to come up with new creative ways of delivering health care. We can't continue pouring tens of billions of dollars, as we have with partnership with the federal government, and continuing to do the same thing and expect a different result. That doesn't cut it. We're going to think, again, creatively, with consultation with the Ontario Medical Association, which we have, the Ontario Hospital Association, every single CEO in this province, and they've come up with some really, really great ideas to deliver healthcare a lot more efficiently than we have been for a number of years. Thank you.
Last question.
Hi there, Lorenda Redekop from CBC. Prime Minister, just a follow-up on that question on CSIS and Handong. Are you saying that they didn't warn you, or were you warned and you chose to dismiss it for those reasons? Just wanted some clarification.
Once again, one of the things we've seen, unfortunately, over the past years is a rise in anti-Asian racism linked to the pandemic, and concerns being arisen around people's loyalties. I want to make everyone understand fully that Han Dong is an outstanding member of our team, and suggestions that he is somehow not loyal to Canada should not be entertained. Much of what CSIS actually does in keeping Canadians safe involves protecting various diaspora communities from influence of authoritarian governments around the world. We will continue to make sure we are working with CSIS to make sure that as every MP serves their community, that they do so in a way that they are kept safe and that is true to the Canadian values and the Canadian principles that we all stand by. CSIS is active in fighting against foreign interference, and part of its tools for doing that is making sure that political parties and individual politicians are alert to the potential influences they may be faced with. That is something we will continue to work closely with CSIS on as we move forward, because not just our democracy needs to be protected in an abstract way, but the individuals choosing to serve their communities, who may be seen as greater targets for various countries, need to be protected as well, and that's what we work with CSIS on.
Thank you. That will conclude today's press conference. Merci. Ça va mettre
Merci
fin à la
beaucoup.
conférence de presse.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.